Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Spy Family, which was actually a recommendation from Angel. Thank you very much again for another great recommendation, Angel. I do apologize for us slowly working our way through the very long and extensive recommendation list that we have. I promise you guys, I mean, in all honesty, that's where most of the shows we watch anymore all come from. Majority of them is just pure recommendations. So,
whenever I see Angel is the one who recommended it, I know it's got a really good chance of being worthwhile.
Oh yeah, for sure. And same thing for CJ, as long as he tells us beforehand that it's worthwhile. I mean, to be fair, sometimes he gives us a head up like, hey, this is trash. And I, try to do the exact same thing.
This is hard to get through. Your turn.
Exactly. But if you want to hear us actually recounting our journey a little bit for the show back in its origins and talking a little bit about that, what our first 10 was, at least to our memory and what I could find through my notes, join us on patreon.com/featured anime podcast. $1 a month will get you access to that bonus content and more. And of course, you can go to featuredanimepodcast.com and check us out and get all the information and links and everything like that on there, as well as in our show notes. And of course, you can email us and let us know our recommendation and everything. You can go to you can email us at info@featuredanimepodcast.com. And now on to the wonderful portion where everything is so delicious and wonderful at the same time. Tokyo Treats. Because Tokyo Treats are wonderful. I love Tokyo Treats. You love Tokyo Treats. Everyone loves Tokyo Treats. That gets them anyways. And they ruin my diet every single month. If you use coupon code Featured Anime at checkout, you get $5 off that very first box. And trust me, they are worth it. I can't sing the praises enough simply because they cause me to gain weight. And I want you to enjoy the greatness that they are. And now onto the meat and potatoes. Spy Family Part 1 came out in April 2022, ran all the way through June 2022. It's 12 episodes long. Producers for it are TV Tokyo, Toho Animation. Studio for it is Wit Studio, CloverWorks. It's based off of a manga. Genres are action, comedy, and Shounen. And part 2 of it came out from October 2022 through December 2022, and it's 13 episodes. All the other information is the exact same. So even though season 1 is a total of 25 episodes, if you watched it when it was coming out, you got done dirty and you had to watch it over the course of a whole year. Unfortunately for you, not so much for me or Rick. Thankfully. Now, basically, our main character, Lloyd Forger, is a secret agent man named Twilight, codenamed Twilight, and his task is to have a family and grow this family into upstanding individuals, his daughter in particular, or child in particular, to gain access to a particular individual to help prevent fighting in general between these two countries. And this, in a manner of speaking, is his journey through that portion of it, trying to navigate his life as a spy while also pretending to be a family man and covertly creating everything along the way. And then at the exact same time, everyone else in the family that he ends up gaining, like the daughter and his wife, all have their secret lives or secret identities or secrets in general that they are keeping from everyone else. In fact, the only one that actually truly knows everything that's going on and everyone's secrets is the girl, Anya Forger.
The daughter.
Yes. So, and this is their journey. I mean, like, honestly, and that's largely it. You don't get very much in terms of resolution. It's just more along the lines of, this is an adventure. This is just a family style adventure going through.
It feels like a slice of life. I'm not quite sure if it is, but it feels like it should be under that category. And the reason I say that is it does, maybe it's not every day, but it's the daily life of how these people are interacting.
Indeed.
And now my confusion is Is this like a Mr. and Miss Smith type situation where the wife is working on one side of the aisle and the husband's working on the other side? Or are they working on the same side? Like I because the wife, you find out, is an assassin who kills high-ranking people, and the husband is a spy who's going for peace, which I think is an admirable thing. I think he's a good guy. What I find interesting is they actually get a dog eventually that can see the future. Like, what? That's so awesome, but it's such a useless thing because the only person that can actually utilize anything is a person nobody believes a word out of her mouth.
Well, it's not that nobody believes a word out of her mouth. She doesn't tell anyone anything because Anya is afraid of the reactions that would happen because of it. Or she would believe that people wouldn't believe her, largely because she has the ability to read minds. Now, again, going back, because Anya has the ability to read minds, she knows that Lloyd is a spy, and she knows that Yor is an assassin, and so she is living the ultimate childhood fantasy in her mind as to the life of them. And then the dog's just like kind of like the cherry on top.
Yeah. Sorry. But it's really cute. It's heartwarming. It's kind of jarring at times because the way that they end up kind of sprinkling in unsavory actions and unsavory actions. I was going to say unsavory actions and unsavory words. But in reality, like, the mom keeps killing people. Like, she doesn't stop.
Right.
And Lloyd doesn't really stop like doing what he does, espionage and all that good stuff. And I don't know, he's very calculative. He's a master of disguise, which, aside from being an anime, was really cool because he has perfect control over his vocal cords, perfect control over his facial expressions, his minute facial expressions, and he's able to put these masks on that are lifelike, obviously, again, anime, but the way that they're kind of able to give the inner monologue, which is the original voice, to each character he portrays, and each insight that you see that he's portraying is very, again, calculative and very interesting because he's obviously working towards something. He is. It's obvious.
Right. Yeah.
But every setback, he's like, I've got a plan B. I've got a plan C. And he says, if that doesn't work, I've got a plan G. I've got a plan. Like he's
prepared.
Do you remember that show that, good?
I said he's prepared because he has to be.
Yeah.
He needs to be prepared. And that's the essence of everything that goes on for him, right? So he has all these scenarios and everything, and all these things come up. But what's amazing is sometimes the scenarios or the lies or the covers that he says, even he is shocked when Yor, who is his wife, aka the assassin of the group, believes him. She goes, "Oh, you must be such a great doctor," and everything like that. Because when they meet, he says he's a psychiatrist, and then he's being chased after having raided a compound with all this stolen art and everything. And then he's like, "Yeah, these are my patients," and he comes up with a lie, and he's beating them up and throwing grenades and everything like that. And she just wholeheartedly believes him in it. It's like, come on. I mean, granted, you realize later on as the show progresses through that she's not exactly the sharpest tool in the shed. She is, in fact, she's not even in the shed. She's like left out in the backyard rusting.
Yeah. But a rusty tool still gets the job done,
Depends on the job you're trying to get done. So it just really depends.
The job is murder.
Yeah, for her, yes, obviously that is it. But for anything else, not so much. The the comedy aspect of it is everything having to deal with it and go through it, and the build up for everything as well. So the interactions that he has, the interactions that she has, and everything that kind of goes on is just really out there and just really good, wholesome fun to a degree. So take, for example, Anya and Yor and Lloyd as they're going through the college setup for it, right? Or the school setup for it. Anyways, for Anya is all these things happen, is like he comes out with, "Oh, I'm glad we prepared for this."
Yeah.
and the headmaster is like, nobody plans. He planned for that. Oh, that's amazing. Such elegance. And then something else happens.
Elegance.
Something else happens. It's like, who are these people? Who plans for this? And they just come out with like complete ensembles again. I totally planned to get dirty and completely changed. I totally planned to have my suits ripped and complete change. I totally planned for X to happen. Complete change. Oh, I demolished this table because of a mosquito. Obviously.
Yeah, I killed a mosquito.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't wrong. He did.
Wait, what? He did get a mosquito?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
There was a mosquito.
I thought that was just a poor mosquito. Jeez. Yeah. Well, so here's what it kind of. Granted, plot is a big reason for 99% of everything that happens.
Obviously.
But as a spy who is so prepared for everything else, you'd think he could take just a slight minor look into his soon-to-be wife and see that she has literal blood on her hands often. Like, it's not that she goes out and you know, does some stuff and murders a few people and then comes home. And no, like, it's so often that she comes home and she's like, I can still smell the blood on my hands. Hold up. Isn't this super spy supposed to be amazing at everything? Blood has a very distinct smell. You'd think that he'd be like, oh, that's weird. She comes back with blood on her hands a lot. There's blood on her clothes. There's blood on her face. Like,
every time she
he's
comes
very
back,
oblivious.
Every time she comes back, she's not covered in blood, and there's not blood.
Oh yeah,
on her
she's
hands.
clean.
Right.
But what I'm saying is, like, he's so careful about everything else, and yet oblivious when it comes to her and the child. Now here's what gets me. Their first interaction, the reason I swear I think the reason he chose her is because she flew under his radar to the point where he was scoping everybody out in the tailor's business, and she came up right behind him within touching distance, and he goes, I didn't even know she was there.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Well, not only that, right? He talked to her name came up as a potential list of candidates. She's single, not doesn't stand out or anything like that. She was there. And the fact that she was looking for something kind of in a similar situation where she didn't want to, it was mutually beneficial is why he needed someone to pretend to be married. She needed someone to pretend to be the boyfriend. It just ended up pretending to be married and having to stay married.
Yeah, the marriage thing came out of left field because originally he was only supposed to be her boyfriend, and then he goes, I'm her husband. And she goes,
wrong story. Right. Well, again,
what do you mean?
He said wrong story. It's like, I mixed up our stories. Yeah. And so
he's like, ooh, sorry.
Yeah, had to force that now. Commitment. So it was amazing. It was a great show. It was fun and wholesome, and they're not afraid to point out the shenanigans or the ridiculousness of it at every point too, because they just have good old fun. Take the dodgeball tournament with Anya. Like they just like have pure unadulterated fun with that all the way through. It is amazing how much.
Now I got one problem with that.
Yes.
One small problem.
But
it was stated that anything from the shoulders up didn't count, right? And a boy,
I'm sorry.
Classmate.
Are we talking about like obvious like plot shenanigans happening here?
I'm
like,
just saying.
Like the bro dove and got pegged in the face regardless.
In the forehead. The forehead.
Yeah.
And they still called him out for that.
Yeah. And it's like
they didn't. They didn't. Never mind. I'm sorry. They didn't. Because as he was crumpled on the ground with nothing else to do, he got hit 2 more times.
Yeah.
With the ball. I apologize. I was wrong on that one. But
it's
okay, so they maintained it. It was still hilarious to see this poor child be like, I did it. My hero. Out. Oh.
Yeah, and it's honestly, it's great. And every time there's a sport feat or aspect or anything like that comes up, and Yor is trying to help coach or do anything, it's beyond belief ridiculous in every aspect of it.
It's crazy.
Where it even pops up, you're just watching it and you go, "What the hell am I? What the hell just happened? Like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
What the hell just happened?" And it maintains that level of ridiculousness. It maintains that level of just pure enjoyment all the way through. It also tells a consistent story, but at the exact same time, it is episodic. Very rarely do you have a part 1 and part 2 of a story. Very rarely.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about this is it's told in such a way that you can easily pick up on it, that you can easily follow the story, even if you come in a couple episodes later, because of how well it's written. And
yes, you won't get lost. I agree. But I feel like if you miss a few episodes, you miss some key stuff. Because in every episode
100%, yes. There are key. That's why I said every episode is episodic, but they are still tied together. So you still have this flow of a main story throughout the whole thing, where the main overarching story is still being told. Like, here's everything going along with this. Here's everything that needs to happen with this. And you have this consistency all the way through. But at the exact same time, while all that's going on, it has its own unique episodic story happening. That is the focal point.
Each one's almost isolated. Yeah, like, you know, that's actually what episodic means. So you're right. To kind of go back to what you were saying about she's just overpowered for days. A perfect example is she's trying to play tennis. And she does this beautiful serve.
Keep in mind, this is last episode of this season.
Is it?
1.
No, it's not the last episode.
It's like towards the last episodes of season 1.
Okay, so it's towards the last episodes of season 1, but she does this amazing serve, and the ball goes nowhere, and you're like, oh, she missed.
Yep.
And then the ball shreds itself, like disintegrates.
Yeah.
And she goes, every time I go for the serve and I just cheese grate the ball. I don't get it. And then you realize she hit it so hard that she pushed the ball through the mesh of the racket.
Yeah. Yeah. This is episode 12, or not 12. Sorry. This is episode 24 of 25 that this is happening.
Oh, so. Okay. Well, let's go back to the dodgeball situation. She's teaching her a killer move and takes out a forest.
Yes. Yes.
So
100%.
Like, they're consistent. Episode whatever that was to episode 20, the same thing.
Right. And Yor in general is just miraculously strong to where when people see this level of strength, this feat happen in front of them, they're in disbelief that it just happened. Yeah. It's like, did I just see that?
Flabbergasted.
Is that a real thing?
A lot of them explain it away.
Yeah.
Like it's not a problem. Like her brother, whose name is also Yor?
No.
Yuri. Did I get that? Yuri.
Y-U-R-I. Yuri.
Okay. Because I watched the sub, and for some reason I must have blacked out on the I, because I got Y-O-U or Y-O-U-R. Well, no, Y-O-R and then Y-U-R. And I'm like, it's okay. So that's what was confusing me. But
even if it was Y-U-R, it'd be your and your instead of your and your. You, your, Yuri. You know, just try and help you. Like you don't when it's spelled.
No, I appreciate it. It still I'm over it now, but it was confusing to me, so I had to like pay attention extra. But
And he
she
wasn't there
gives
that
him
often.
a hug.
He
No,
wasn't
they
there.
weren't. But when they were there, showstopper.
Indeed.
Hilarity ensued. But she gave him a hug when they were kids, and like broke his ribs on accident.
Yes.
And she says it, and I'm like, oh, it is what it is. You know, later on, he keels over in pain. He's like, oh, the love of my sister still hurts me to this day. I was like, oh. So it was never fixed. And every time he kind of exerts himself, he goes a little overboard.
Right.
And it's not a duality, because it's definitely not a duality, but the contradiction that her brother is to their family dynamic it's hilarious.
Right.
It's very well written, because her brother is he's not on the same side as Lloyd, but he's also not in my mind, he's not a direct enemy, because they're both going towards the same thing.
Oh no, they are direct enemies.
The brother wants war.
The brother is trying to find Lloyd, and
yeah, by name.
Yeah, by name, because they do the whole premises is the unifying party or whatever want the war, want to unify the continent. I guess I don't know the full backstory of it, and I'm assuming Yuri is a part of that whole infrastructure behind it, because they talk about it being the guy being a politician, Desmond being a politician,
yeah,
and being a leader, and that is why Lloyd is there, is to try and gain information about Desmond, make contact with Desmond, and try and prevent the war from happening.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than they're on the same side, I guess.
Because if they're on the same side, he wouldn't be hunting for spies in general. And Twilight is a spy that he actively pursues and tries to get.
And Lloyd's code name is Twilight.
Although
that's not his real name either.
Stated at the very beginning.
Yeah. But just in case.
You weren't listening.
So
not just in case you weren't. You lie.
I'm just reiterating.
You lie.
Reiterating.
You liar. Caught red-handed in the cookie jar.
Anyway, so does that mean that the sister and the brother are on different sides? Because if they're on the same side, that means that it is a Mr. and Miss Smith type situation, where the wife is working towards the war, and the husband's working against it.
Nope, she is not working for the government agency. She works for a shadow of a form, the garden, the shopkeeper.
Okay. Well, the thing that's endearing to me is the fact that she started killing people to provide a better life for him, and he started being not killing, but maybe killing, but he started on his path to make sure that she doesn't have to worry about him.
Right.
So they're very kind to each other and sociopathic to everyone else, which is hilarious, because they're like, I don't understand normal people, so I don't have to, because if they get in my way, they won't be there anyway. Like, if they want a problem, I have no problem giving them a problem. That kind of thing. Yeah,
no, for sure. And just to let you know, because obviously next week's choice is going to be season 2. They do touch on yours primary method of income a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
In that one, so they do touch a little bit more on the second season from what I've seen so far. So just to let you know,
I did accidentally start episode 26, because when I finished 25, it just kept going. I was like, wait, there's more? What's going on? And then I was like, oh no, this is season 2. Yeah.
So and what's great is you do, even though they have those backgrounds, those backstories and everything like that for the characters, it's not heavy, and it's not an entire it's not an entire like 5-6 episodes. It's here's a little snippet, here's a little bit of information, here's just enough for you to know or understand, and it's kind of strung throughout the series versus them dedicating 3 or 4 episodes to it all at the exact same time. They give you just enough information for you to understand, like, here's what's happening. This is what's going on with this. This is why this is happening. And they tie it seamlessly in with the main story. Now, the backstories themselves are kind of heavy a little bit in terms of emotional baggage heavy. It's like, man, that is some deep stuff for some of them.
The dog,
Lloyd's background, a little bit.
Nah, I mean, yes, but the dog hit me way worse than everybody else. And it was only, what, a 30-second montage, if that?
Well, and then you have Anya as well. Hers was pretty bad, too. It was, like, heartbreaking. I mean, I'm sorry, but honestly, you have both of them the exact same. If you're going to tell me, oh, you're more heartbroken over the dog having... over a dog being experimented on and tortured... versus a little girl who's been experimented on and tortured. You got something. You got problems, bro.
I don't.
You got problems. Please
I might have
justify to me why it's
I can't
more
justify
wholeheartedly why it's better to experiment and torture a little girl over a for a dog. Right, over a dog. But like, tell me why. Just justify for me.
I can
justify.
I can justify why I think the dogs was worse, because they cared about not killing her. They didn't care about not killing him, the dog. They specifically because it is specifically in the flashback for the dog. They're like, "You're gonna kill him." He goes, "We've got plenty more. If he survives, it'll be fine. If he doesn't survive, we got more in the batch. No problem."
But how do you know? How do you know they didn't care about not killing her?
Because they said it in her flashback. Again, it wasn't much, but she's like, "I don't want to do it." Like, but you have to do it. We're gonna have to make you do it. And then they made sure that she was alive. So they made sure that she didn't die, because they did invest a lot into her and stuff like that.
Right. But that doesn't mean they're not going to push the limits and possibly kill her. So you're saying, oh, because she didn't die and she had a better chance of living, the dog's was worse, right?
Yeah.
So
they specifically said they didn't care if the dog died.
That's cool. No,
they specifically said they cared if she died.
You know what? You are welcome to your horrible opinion, and I say horrible opinion because that is ridiculous. Okay, I think they're both horrible, equally in bad in general, not one over the other. And this is coming from a parent. You'll soon understand. This is coming from a dad. I'll tell you this right now. Anyone that experiments on a daughter, on my dogs, or anything like that, equally, I will murder. If I have a choice to save one or the other, I will save my daughter 100% of the time, though.
Oh, I agree with that 100%.
So I will tell you this right now. It ain't equal at all. And having my daughter, I will tell you this right now. I wholeheartedly think the daughter's was worse simply because it broke my heart. Seeing a little girl who had no control over it, just like the dog had no control over it, was bad. Okay? How she was able to get out of it is beyond me. How the dog was able to get out of it, again, beyond me. Right? But they both survived. They both had their instances. And just because she survived and they wanted her to survive does not mean all the other children who were orphaned and everything like that weren't expendable or disposable. They just wanted to keep her alive, probably because she was the most successful test subject out of all the other children that were disposed of.
I can agree with that. It just, again, I'm not a dad yet. Soon I will be, so maybe my opinion might shift. But as it stood right there, I just felt like they cared if one survived, and they didn't care. So they were willing to push farther. Are they better? Are they worse? They're both real shitty. But I figured the way I saw it, there was a line they wouldn't cross with one where they were like, I don't care with the other. And the reason that one of them hit me harder was only because you saw the dog while it was being electrocuted. Again, it minor flashback. Drooling and nose running and crying, and it was like a 3-second clip, but you're like, good Lord.
Yep.
So maybe that's why, because I saw the torture the dog had. I didn't really see the torture that the girl had.
Right. Because she didn't want to remember it, and she was able to mentally block it out, versus the dog didn't. Because you saw the chair and you saw the doctors and you saw the needles and everything like that, and they were vested in her. And it is not uncommon for them to expose and have all these other children that they get by the truckloads be expendable and disposable for the one that they find to be successful. Let's test all these out.
That's possible.
Then use it on this one, right? But
Yeah, they're all
regardless
inhumane.
of the matter, I will say that both of them are horrible. Both of them are absolutely bad in their own right. In a matter of speaking, I
can
do
agree with
not.
that. Common ground.
I do not agree. I do not agree with one being worse than the other.
They're both very bad. I will agree with that. They're both horrible things that I hope never happen to anybody.
Exactly.
So, but that said, still a worthwhile show.
Indeed.
That 30-second clip doesn't negate the rest of the awesomeness.
Yeah.
The shenanigans that they were put through. There was one episode, one portion of an episode where there was an animal like stampede, if you will, and everyone's like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" Lloyd steps in and saves the kid elegantly, and his wife uses yoga pressure points to disable the lead cow. So,
I mean, it's pretty miraculous, not killing the cow and everything. And then again, it goes back to having their clothes, torn, and he goes, we totally planned for this. The elegance. By the headmaster.
It's like you can. What do you say when they originally saved a kid from in a sewer, and they stepped in? He's oh no! It's like disqualify them. How dare they think they can show up to this sullied and what's this? They've changed. And he changed into a better one, and then he changed into yet another suit after they got the stampede done with. He goes, "Thank goodness I packed my brown suit because the blue one made me look like a commoner."
Yeah, so he goes from blue and gets it dirty, puts on brown, gets it torn, puts on a black with top hat for it.
Yeah,
at the exact same time.
It was the epitome of this isn't even my final form.
Yeah, it's just amazing. I mean, you could only imagine that that things are just like, who are these people and why do they carry around so many extra clothes? Because
and where do they keep them at? Because they were all pleated, they were all folded correctly, they didn't have any wrinkles. Like where?
And where do they change? Like, how were they able to magically change?
Quick change,
right? So what's great
they
is
elegantly did it
magically. So, and the ridiculousness is just great all the way through the show. It's just maintained throughout, and there are many examples in which you can honestly just watch the show and just have fun and a great time. Like when Anya wants to have a celebration of her birthday, and so he ends up renting out a castle and doing all this stuff, and while he's talking he taps his foot in Morse code. Like this is in regards to Operation Strix. Just do what he says and don't ask questions. End of discussion. And everyone's just like, they don't care. They're like, we get to go after him, we get to go after Twilight, bro. Dud, I don't care. It's like
he is a double S rank mission. Absolutely.
Like people are just like all for it. They don't even care. It's like we have a chance to actually put our medal to Twilight, to the man, the myth, the legend himself. Done. And
he wrecks them all.
He does.
Just absolutely owns.
It's just that
number
great.
One for a reason.
Exactly. And it's honestly great throughout the whole thing. No matter what. And I don't want to go into too much detail for it because there are some like choice details or choice things that happen in throughout the whole series where you're just like, what did I just watch? What is going on? And it just makes it that much better.
Yeah. No, it's a decent pick for the show, and it's a really good anime. And the fact that it has a season 2, it makes me happy. I don't know if they're going to actually achieve their total goal, but in all honesty, I really don't care because the quality of the show and the antics are entertaining enough that if they never win,
Yep.
Because I can't see them winning, because the second they win it, the second they succeed, the family's disbanded. There's no more use. Supposedly, I personally feel that Lloyd is getting emotionally involved and emotionally attached, but he's still of the mind that nope. All I have to do is succeed, and then I can go on to my next mission. And
it's not even that at this point,
I feel like that'd be depressing.
He's, even while he's with his family, he's still doing all these other missions at the same time. So it's not like he's doing this and that's all his focus on, and that's it.
Oh yeah.
He's being pulled in a million different directions, doing all these other missions and everything else at the exact same time. Some of it directly affects his primary mission too, and how he has to entangle it and how he has to navigate those waters is just magnificent.
Yeah. No, I again recommend this one 100%. It's a good show. It's a longer show, but I feel like it's worth the watch.
Yep, indeed. Well, I know we can go on a heck of a lot longer for this one, but I feel like this is a great spot for us to leave a rating. How about you?
I do agree.
All right. So, on a scale of up to 10, how would you rate this?
This one's shockingly getting a solid 9. Reason it's not getting a 10 from me, and this is the only reason it's not getting a 10 from me, is long term. I don't see there being a conclusion that I would like. I don't see him retiring. I don't see any of that. I think that this anime could go on for far too long and they just wouldn't have a satisfactory conclusion. Other than that, it's phenomenal.
Okay.
And you?
For me, I'm going to go with a 9. Largely because even though I said it was episodic, the larger overarching story is something that you have to actually do pay attention to, and it is easy to lose track at the exact same time. So if you're not consciously watching this and not focusing in on it, it is something that you can easily lose your way on for it. Also, some of the antics in how Anya acts, I get it. I understand it. Doesn't mean I have to like it.
Fair enough.
But other than that, it's a great show. It's a phenomenal show. Definitely well worth the watch. For sure. Next week, we're going to be watching season 2. In case that wasn't apparent, we're going to watch season 2 of Spy Family. So there you go. Nanners. If you knew that, you're a great detective. Far better at your ways and almost Anya level in terms of reading our minds. Well, that's all the time that we have for today. If you feel like we did too much justice, not enough justice, got lost in the weeds or anything like that, agree, disagree, whatever, what have you, feel free to let us know. All our contact information is in the show notes as well as on our website at featuredanimepodcast.com. You can also email us at info@featuredanimepodcast.com. And of course, all the other wonderful information that's out there. Don't be afraid to leave us a rating, leave us a review, comment, all that other stuff on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, all that other wonderful stuff, and let us know how we're doing. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.